Before you even touch your data set, there are 5 things you must do or your analysis could fall apart. In this video, I'm going to be talking about things you must do before you analyze your data. Welcome to my cyberspace. Now let's get right into it. Now, a lot of times when people start to analyze the data, they just want to jump right into it and they really have issues when analyzing their data. I'm going to be telling you 5 very important things you need to do before you analyze your data. This is really going to separate you from the everyday data analyst and the top percent data analyst. Now, first thing you want to do is that you want to create a duplicate of your data set. Before you start to make any changes to the data set, before you start to think, oh, let me delete this data, let me clean this data, you want to create a duplicate. Because a lot of times as data experts, we are still trying to explore in the data, knowing what is obtainable or what is not. But when you have a duplicate of your data set, it helps you to have this confidence to delete, drop any column or any field, because you understand that you have an original copy of your data set. Now let me show you an example of how you could create a duplicate of your data set, and this is if you are downloading a data like a CSV file or a flat file. First thing, I want to get a data set. I haven't used any of data set. I'm just going to get a random data set from Kaggle. In case you don't know how to use Kaggle, there's going to be other videos in this channel that's going to explain to you how to use Kaggle and how best to source data from Kaggle.com. Kaggle is just one of the best platforms out there to get data. So I just click on data sets, try to pick up anything. First of all, so it's called Uber Data Analytics. Just going to try to pick something. So I don't want to, yes, this is probably, I might want to use this. So I just click on this. Just click on download. I could download with the code, but just download with the zip file, and we're going to have this in a minute. So we just downloaded already. So we have this in the download. So copy this. So this is just use this always. So this is data set, right? So first things first, I just want to copy this data set and I want to put it up on my desktop. So just put this up on my desktop. So I have this right here. So this is the data set. I open up the data set. So like I said, so there are 2 ways to create a copy of the data set. You could either open it up first of all and you do something like files, save as, and just do say copy. All right, so say copy. That's something you could do. That's the first thing you need to do. Or another way to also create a copy, it's wherever this data set is stored. I could just come here and just copy this and just paste it. So that's another way to create a copy. Now we have created a copy. Now another thing you need to do is you want to know the data. Don't start to think about analysis first of all. No, don't do that. Don't do that. I said don't do that. Make sure you first of all know your data set. And how do you know your data set? Just by looking at it, just by thinking about it, just by romanticizing with the data, right? So let's try to open up our data set and try to know what our data set is all about. So I'm just going to open up this one, and just going to take this away. Let's just take this away. Save a copy. Unblock. Let me try to open up the other one. Save. Let me show this again. Okay, we have this. So first thing is, we know that when we downloaded this data set, it says it was Uber Data Analytics. Let's assume there's probably no even documentation for us to know what this data is all about. Let's just look at this data in itself. So we see this data has information on time, right? So it has information on time, it has information on date, booking ID, booking status, it has customer ID, vehicle type, pickup location, drop-off location, average VTAT. We probably don't know what that is. We need to maybe ask a stakeholder what that means. Average CTAT, and there's also cancelled reason, right, by customer. So it has this bunch of information, and he also has this information regarding payment method. So we can see that this is about like probably like a driving business. If we probably did not have this information before, he has the bike type, he has the pickup location, and he has timing information. So one of the ways you could be a very great data analyst is just looking at the data set and say, what is this data all about? Is it sales data? Is it finance data? Is it healthcare data? What are they collecting information about? When you have that understanding of what they are collecting information about, then it sort of helps you, to be able to, analyze your data, because that's the first few things you want to do. You want to know the data set. And literally, there's actually a book title called Know Thy Data. You could check it out, just Google it. And it's a very good book that talk about, the first few steps to be able to be a great data expert is to understand the data. And this is where a lot of people just skip to the analysis. You don't want to do that. First of all, you want to have a deep understanding of your data, such that when you are getting your data results, you would know what the result is all about, why it makes sense, and you'll be able to communicate the results to non-technical stakeholders well, just because you understand the data, right? One of the things you also want to do is you want to check your data quality. Don't rush into analysis. I mean, except your organization already, did all of the quality check. There's like a quality team that, checks the data to be sure that it's right. You want to check the data still. First few things you want to see, we can see from this data, we see that we have like a couple of norms. You just want to scroll down to try to see if we have like missing. You also want to see, because these ones that we have like a couple of norms, you might not be able to get like reliable information just from this, just because of the way this data is all about. You also want to see, is the labeling name correct? For example, this is time, and maybe, for example, what they put here is date. So you just want to check the data quality. That's one of the first few things you want to do. You want to check, is this data like good? A data set that is not good is going to produce a wrong result, produce a wrong analysis. And this next step is one of the great tricks that will really help you to be a good data analyst. And the point is, less is more. What do I mean by less is more? Let me show you what I meant by less is more. Remember that we created a copy of this data set already. And when I started to look at this data set, if you notice, when I got to this point, I started to get tired about looking at the data set. And this happens to everybody, right? You look at the data set, there's too many information, and you're like, what is this all about? You don't even know. So the first few things you want to do is you want to drop some columns. You want to delete some information, because we know we have a copy of our data set already, right? So I try to drop some columns that I know. Maybe let me just take them out. This one that I'm seeing a couple of nodes. I'm just going to click on these, click on delete. So with this, right, I have lesser information. I could try to, this ID, booking ID, I don't think I would need it. For now, just booking status, custom ID, you could just drop this. Vehicle type, pickup location, drop-off location, average HCT. Let's just take this away for now, because we'll probably come back to that. Cancelled by customer, let's delete that. And driver rating, that's kind of makes sense. Customer rating makes sense. Payment method. So this, we could even delete the date and the time, right? Because I have lesser information right now, let me try to expand this so that we can see. And because I have like lesser information, it's easier for me to understand this data better. I could see that I could do like a bunch of analysis right now just with this very few data set. Like I could try to see what kind of payment method do people use more on this platform. I could also see what's the average customer rating, what's the average driver rating. Is the driver rating higher than the customer rating? I could also see like which location has more drop off and more pickup, right? So that we can plan better where most of our drivers will be located, and I could know, okay, what kind of vehicle types that we do have more in our platform. How did I know this? Just by what? By having like lesser information. Some of the reasons why you've not had ideas, thoughts as to how to analyze your data is because you're looking at your old data set in a whole, and you are trying to like make sense or come up with questions. Because not all the time that stakeholders would come up with questions for you. They might not necessarily even know what they want. So one of the things you want to do is try to have a lesser version of your data set. make sure that you're not deleting the data set from a database. If it's a SQL query, I'm sure you probably know how to drop the tables, not drop the tables, you probably know how to select the few columns you want to select and all of that. So what I'm just advocating here is one of the things that will really help you before you start to analyze your data. One of the things that will help you know your data better is by looking at just fewer information. Another thing that will really help you to be a very great data expert is to identify the focal variables. What do I mean by identifying the focal variables? I know that there are still like a couple of information right here. The focal variable can be like the dependent variable. In case you don't know what the dependent variable is, it just means the variable that is an outcome variable, is a variable of interest. Say something like X and Y. Y is the dependent variable. Things like when it is raining, you're going to get colder. So that the dependent variable here is cold or getting colder. I mean, that's just a layman quick explanation. What do we think is going to be more interesting to a stakeholder when I look at this data set? It just depends on your perspective. For me, a data set, a stakeholder might be more interested in, let's say, the driver rating, right, or the customer rating. They might be more interested in rating. So when you try to look at what do I think is the focal variable, it sort of helps you to work your analysis backward and say, what do we think is contributing more to this rating? Is it because of the location? Is it the type of vehicle? Is it that when people get into a sedan, they give the driver a better rating? That helps you to start to think and come up with better questions for your analysis. And one thing, I think what I've always said, I think this is one of the great point also, is that you want to know what is the purpose of the analysis. You don't just want to, for this data set, I could try to say I want to look at the driver's rating, I want to look at the payment method, except you're working on personal projects that you just want to do a bunch of things. Even when working on personal projects, you still want to know what is my purpose for the analysis. You want to start up to write questions. What am I really doing? And last point I'm going to mention is see the end from the beginning. Before you start to analyze, try to see what do I think the result will look like. Is this going to be like a bar chart? Is it going to be a graph? Is this going to be just an inferential statistics or descriptive analysis and all of those things? So if you can, pay attention to these steps that I've mentioned in this video, you will see how it's going to change your data journey and it's really going to help you stand out among your peers. If this video was value for time, do well to like, subscribe and follow. Ciao. Thank you.